Studio Orange have been teasing for a couple of months now that a big new project is in the works, and this Friday we finally got to find out what that was. It's Trigun. Now, it would be a complete lie if I said I'd never seen it, because Trigun is one of the series I grew up on. In fact, I actually have an animation cell from it. So what do we know about this new Trigun project? Well, stay tuned to find out.
Kawaii-Fi!
Hey, it's Kyle here, and yeah, Trigun is apparently coming back. Earlier this month, a Twitter account appeared with the name $60 million, the bounty that is on Vash the Stampede's head. Now, many people did think this was maybe just a fan jumping in on it, or could it have been a teaser for something more coming up? And it turns out the latter was true. We're getting a brand new Trigun anime project by the team at Orange Studios. What that's going to be, we're not too sure. Crunchyroll have currently said that they do plan to simulcast it worldwide, which does suggest that it probably will be an anime series. It's unlikely for it to be a feature, but we'll find out more in the coming weeks. But you might be wondering, what on earth is Trigun? Trigun was been around since 1995, and its anime series hit the market in Japan in 1998, and we got it internationally in 2003. And it instantly became very popular as part of the Adult Swim Toonami block. Around that time, we'd seen shows like Cowboy Bebop, Neon Genesis, and so on have their runs, and they were looking for the next big sort of shonen sci-fi epic to take to the market, and Trigun fit really nicely in that niche. Trigun is set on a planet known as No Man's Land or Planet Gunsmoke, depending on the translation you're viewing. The series follows the story of Vash the Stampede, a legendary gunslinger whose pacifist nature clashes with his infamous reputation for leaving havoc and destruction in his wake. Hounded by sadistic bounty hunters and outlaws trying to claim the bounty on his head, Vash travels the barren expanse of the planet on a personal mission to protect as many lives as possible and thwart the genocidal machinations of the villainous Knives. Knives is a person, by the way, not just, there's not knives just getting thrown around. Trigun started its life as a manga, beginning in 1995 and finishing up around 2008. And as you can imagine, with the anime coming out in 1998, the series wasn't ready for a full adaptation at that point. So what most anime studios did, just like with the original Fullmetal Alchemist, they decided, hey, let's get our creative team together and come up with an ending with what we've got. And what we got wasn't bad. I have to give mad props to Madhouse. They did a really, really good job of adapting the series and giving it a feel, and then taking it through to an end which wrapped up all the points that we needed to cover. But it wasn't a proper adaptation, and a lot of fans are expecting that what we're going to get from this new version is a full adaptation. So what do we actually know so far about what Studio Orange is planning? Well, we've got a couple of ideas. Trigun Stampede is the name for this new project, and I'm going to keep calling it a project until we get an official line on this, but it doesn't state whether it is a film, a special, a series of shorts, or a complete anime adaptation. It's going to be done by Studio Orange, who are well known for doing 3D CG anime. Now, we'll come back to that point in a moment, but they also did Godzilla Singular Point, Land of the Lustrous, Beastars, along with many other projects where they've collaborated as part of it. Godzilla, for instance, was predominantly done by Bones, with them handling all the CG animation. Crunchyroll have announced that they're going to be streaming the new Trigun internationally. Now, what format that is in, as we said, up for discussion. The key point in that message is that they keep saying 25 years after. Now, that could just be a reference to it being in 2023, which is 25 years since the original anime came out in Japan, or it might be an indication of when they're actually planning to drop it. The original anime came out in April 1998, so that's Q2 of the year. I can't remember my anime seasons because I'm in Australia and we're inverted. Let's go with spring. Let's say it's spring. The project is going to have an all-new staff and cast, but they are going to include the manga's original creator, Naitao, who is going to be on board as an advisor from the information we have at the moment. No word on dub castings yet, but everyone's already making a strong push to bring back the original voice of Vash, which I 100% support for the English dub if that's the case, because he was excellent. But in a couple of weeks' time, we are going to have a bit more of an idea of what's going on, because Anime Expo 2022 is happening in Los Angeles. And yes, Studio Orange have a table, and yes, they have a panel, and yes, they are planning to discuss Trigun according to their Twitter. One of the main concerns I've seen online is people going, oh, CG anime, I don't want that. Fair, fair. If you watch Jubiate, you've seen how bad CG can be. If you've watched, oh geez, I think I've scrubbed it from my memory, X-Arm. X-Arm was awful. So that's why we're a bit worried about CG, and even well-beloved franchises such as Ghost in the Shell do suffer from an issue when, if they go to CG, fans might not feel as connected to it as before. Now, to be fair, Japan has been lagging behind international groups. Like, they're nowhere near Pixar, for starters. They're nowhere near anything Disney's put out, or DreamWorks, or any of the big corporations that we've seen doing children's animated films. Like, you know, the Minions. You're not going to see that level of 3D animation typically out of Japan. But what Orange have done is very good quality, and I'd highly recommend you check out the film they dropped just this week. It's a short 7-minute film called Home. It's set on Mars, it's sci-fi, and it kind of shows how far they've come from when they first started. Beastars wasn't bad, but it was almost bordering on Uncanny Valley. Land of the Lustrous wasn't bad, also had moments where it bordered on that Uncanny Valley bit. And there were moments with Godzilla Singular Point where the CG didn't necessarily hold up very well. But based on what they've just shown with Home, which is set in a similar genre to what they're doing, it's almost like a calling card to say, this is what we plan to do. I actually kind of have all right hopes for this. We'll just have to see once we actually get some footage of it. We've got concept art, and the concept artist we'll come back to because his resume is schmick. Hopefully this will be a series where it takes it to the next level and shows that Japan can handle CG animation properly, just like they've just shown with the short film, and that Orange is the go-to studio for it. Now back to the designer. Tajimi Koji is the person in question, and I highly recommend you have a look at his IMDb entry because he's done a lot of concept artwork, and if that's then being transitioned into use for animation, I'm pretty excited. He's been involved in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, several Marvel properties, including Deadpool 2, Venom. There's like 30 or so major film projects that he's been involved in as a major concept artist or contributor for. So if they're bringing him in to organize how this is all going to look based on the original manga, because they've got the original mangaka on, and then comparing that and how they're going to do it in CG, I think this could be a really good match. But at this stage, I think we're going to have to wait until July 2nd to know exactly what we're working with. Now, that's the day that Studio Orange have their panel at Anime Expo. And will it be good? I'm hopeful, based on what Home looked like earlier this week, which was their short film. We won't really be able to judge until we actually see some footage that's rendered and good to go. Like, this could be janky as all hell. Like, let's be honest here. Like, sometimes CG fails poorly, but with the amount of reverence Studio Orange seem to be giving the properties when they're involved in them, I'm fairly hopeful they're going to do a pretty good job. I don't think it will be perfect. I think that's a very big ask considering the state of CG animation and wages in particular in Japan. But Studio Orange also has a lot of international staff members, so maybe, just maybe, they might steal a little bit of that Hollywood movie magic. I think the only request I really have is to keep the opening HT and redo it, like get a new big band, get Yoko Ono in, get them to remake that from the ground up, because that is iconic. And that's where we're going to leave it because, to be honest, there's not a lot of info kicking around about Trigun, but go check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's a really good watch, it's pretty well paced, and there's some fantastic characters and scenes in there. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We've got videos coming out every couple of weeks, and we also have the anime podcast we run, Kawaii-Fi Radio, which comes out fortnightly as well. All the details for that are in the description below. A big thank you to the Patreon members who are supporting the channel. If you'd like to support us and get access to some behind the scenes content and extras and the pre-show where we go completely off the rails before the podcast and talk about things other than anime, it gets a bit weird. Consider subscribing to the Patreon. Links, once again, are down below. And with that, I'm Kyle, and as always, watch some anime.